And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're taking a look at Kalua, which is a game... Kalua, which is a game about you are acting as the head of one of the religions on a Polynesian island, trying to get everyone to join your religion and against others. Now, I don't know what these religions are. Actually, the thing says that you take the role of one of the gods. I don't know if I like that so much, but I mean, I just pretend I'm a great religious leader. And of course, in our game, we were trying to convert the Kaluans to being a Baptist or a Catholic or Islam or Buddhism or whatever, whatever religion we could think of. But the game itself is essentially like a fancy kill other people's guys and not kill your own. Actually, it kind of falls in the category of one I haven't seen before. Take a look. Here you have an island which has a bunch of families on it. Now this game comes with families in denominations of 1 and 5, and so since you can tell the difference between these gray and black ones, I have a very hard time. I just count them all as ones. You also will have prayer points, basically, that you will keep track here with also in 1s and 5s. These are much easier to tell apart. And then you have a happiness track to see how happy the converts of your religion are. Now you're going to start with a handful of 5 cards. And there's 2 decks to draw from. These are local and global disasters, basically a BAM card that you play on someone else. And then you have bonus cards. And these cards are woohoo cards that you play on yourself. So you can draw any combination of those that you want. You will have a bunch of people who are in your own colony. You have a bunch of prayer points, not that many. And you also will have a leader of your color. So at the beginning of each player's turn, they're going to draw cards up to 5, and then everybody, including the person whose turn it is, starting with them, gets to utilize their leader. A leader can give a speech, blah, 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 which makes everyone's happiness go up by 1, because he just filled their minds with baloney. He can convert atheists. If there's 2 families here, he can take them and they can join the club. Or he can be better than that, convert other believers, to get someone from another religion, tell them how your religion is better and offers more candy. Or he can give up a massive speech and sacrifice himself, and then he dies, and you can bring up the 5 families from the board here. But then you don't have the leader and you can't use his power anymore for the rest of the game, or until you play a card that brings your leader back. After that, starting with the active player, he can play as many cards as he wants. So he'll play the card in front of him, and then everybody else has a chance to play a card. You resolve those cards, and then if the leader wants to play another card, he can, and another card he can, and another card he can, and another card. And each person gets to follow him. And then the next person goes, and they will draw up the 5. You do not draw up the 5 until your turn. So you can play cards on other people's turns, and you can play as many as you want in your own turn, but you might consider what you're doing. So let's look at some of these cards. Let's take a closer look. This is a local threat here. What a local threat means is you're playing it just on one other person. That's how many prayer points it costs. It costs 4. Their happiness goes down by 1 because they've been just hit by a tornado. That skull means one of their people dies, and another one leaves their religion and goes back to the island. So there's all sorts of these and more tornadoes. Here's locust. Here's bad weather. Here's an earthquake, which is -3 to happiness. So you can see all sorts of different bad events will be happening, but sometimes you will have one that's global. Now, global happens to everybody. So here everybody would lose a happiness. Everybody would get a prayer point because, hey, a gigantic thunderstorm is hitting the whole island. Everyone would have to put a guy back on the island, and everybody would have to kill one of their people. However, when you play a global one, you can pay 6 so that its effects don't affect you, because otherwise it will. Or you can pay 12, the effects happen to you, but they double for everybody. Well, that's kind of a real pain in the neck. Fortunately, not all your cards are against other players. You have bonus cards. This one you put in front of you. cost 5 prayer points, but at the beginning of every turn, you'll get happiness and a prayer point. Here, this is a one-time thing where you get happiness and you roll a die and get people. Here's extra happiness by having good weather. Here's a festivities where you roll a die to see how much happiness you get. And here's a new leader, a bonus. Kill one of your own guys for him to become your new leader. And so you keep doing this. When all your people are dead in front of you, when you no longer have any more people, they're either all on the island or they've left you, you can still sacrifice your leader to get people back, and you can still pray because you need to keep your happiness high. After the end of every player's turn, before it goes to the next person's turn, we compare happiness, and whoever's the happiest is going to steal followers from everybody else, and whoever's the least happy is going to get some extra prayer points. And so you use these prayer points to play cards. You keep going back and forth until everybody except one person has no followers left. If they have their leader left, that's fine. They're still in the game. But they can't, they don't count for winning purposes. So if you have your leader and some followers left, you win, or just some followers left, you win as long as no one else does. And that's how you play. Okay, essentially Kalua is a game which is a take that type of game, where you're playing bad cards on people and good cards on yourself. This game has a unique feature, I guess, where you're playing bad cards on everybody. And I noticed that the deck of disasters was bigger than a deck of bonuses, and in fact, you feel yourself kind of wanting to do that more often. Man, this is a mean game, and I suppose that if you take the theme down to its core, it's kind of just grotesque. I mean, if someone has a problem with religion, this game is only going to reinforce that, because you are just constantly wiping people out just so that yours religion can remain supreme. So maybe this game is supposed to be some kind of political statement. I don't think so. I think, in essence, it's just this game where all these things are going on. The problem I have with the game is, it's interesting. The components are decent, although those same color meeples are a pain. But in essence, it doesn't really matter what you do. You pick cards, you play cards, ooh, you can save cards. But when it all comes down to it, it's just one of those quick take-that games, except it's kind of convoluted. And you say, okay, everyone loses a person, now everyone loses 2 people, now you lose 3, now you gain 2. And it's really kind of random at the draw of the cards. And when it comes down to it, there's really not much strategy. Now, it's funny as all get out sometimes, as it's one of those things where it just gets worse and worse and worse for everybody. And it's really easy to be eliminated from this game really quickly if people decide to take you out. I just don't see that there's a lot here that makes this any specialer than any other game. I mean, it's an interesting theme, has some interesting ideas, but when it comes down to it, peel away everything else, and there's literally almost no game here. There's a semblance of the game, and it seems like there's great ideas in it, but when it comes down to it, you take the cards you got and you play them. The good ones are for yourself, the bad ones for someone else. Adding a bunch of mechanics and using your leader, we get a choice, and I mean, really, again, that choice is just, you pick the obvious thing, the thing that helps you the most at that point in time. The happiness quotient, I mean, all that stuff sounds neat, but when it comes down to it, it just comes down to the cards you draw. And for that reason, I really can't recommend this one at that time, Kalua.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.
Yeah.